Press conference by Foreign Minister Hayashi will begin. Minister, the floor is yours. Thank you. Happy New Year's. I have something to report to you on 2+2. This morning, with Secretary Blinken, Secretary Austin, and Minister Kishi, the Japan-U.S. 2+2 meeting was held in video conference format. Extremely meaningful exchange of views were conducted. With the strategic environment surrounding Japan becoming ever more difficult, the importance of the U.S.-Japan alliance has risen. Both governments are proceeding with the review of strategic documents, including the National Security Strategy. How do we further seek progress in our alliance? How can we maintain and sustain the effectiveness against future challenges? Important discussions were held, and there were three major outcomes. First of all, we were able to conduct an in-depth discussion for fine-tuning and coordination of the changing regional strategic environment. We shared a concern over the various challenges that are being caused by initiatives taken by China that undermine rules-based order. We confirmed that we will together deter any action that would undermine regional stability and, if necessary, respond to such action. We confirmed our concerns regarding China's activities in the East China Sea that undermine regional peace and stability, and reaffirmed that Japan and the U.S. will continue to oppose in solidarity to unilateral attempts to change the status quo of the Senkaku Islands and to unilateral action that seeks to undermine Japan's administration of these islands. We also confirmed our grave and continuing concern over the human rights issues regarding Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region and Hong Kong. We confirmed the strong objections to assertion and activities in the South China Sea. We confirmed the importance of peace and stability in the Taiwan Straits. Regarding North Korea, we shared our strong concern over the nuclear missile activities of North Korea, including the launch of ballistic missiles on the 5th. We confirmed the complete concurrence of the positions between Japan and the United States regarding the necessity of complete denuclearization based upon Security Council resolutions and immediate resolution of the abduction issues. Second, we confirmed that concrete discussions will take place for drastic strengthening of deterrence and response capability of the alliance. The United States showed its demonstration on unwavering commitment for solid extended deterrence and strengthening of posture and capabilities in the region. Japan explained the drastic strengthening of our own defense capabilities through the revision of the National Security Strategy, which was strongly supported by the U.S. side. We also discussed deepening of cooperation in outer space and cyber, further promotion of technological cooperation, including emerging technology, further strengthening preservation of information, and the importance of developing a foundation to maintain the advantage of our alliance in the future and continue our investment.
Thirdly, we agreed on the importance of reducing the impact on local communities such as Okinawa whilst maintaining the deterrence of Japan-U.S. alliance. In order to avoid the indefinite use of Futame Air Station, it was once again confirmed that the relocation to Henoko is the only solution. This year is the 50th anniversary reversion of Okinawa. Under the Okinawa Integration Plan, we confirmed to collaborate to accelerate efforts on the return of the land south of Kadena Air Base. Further, Minister Kishi and I once again requested appropriate responses in terms of the safe operations of USFJ and in the event of incidents and accidents, and confirmed our closer collaboration. Further, due to the recent spread of COVID-19 among the U.S. forces in Japan, in order to alleviate the concerns of the local community, including the workers, based on the Prime Minister's instruction, I strongly requested the reinforcement and thorough enforcement of infection control measures, including restrictions on going out. In response, Secretary Blinken said that the Japanese requests were understood clearly, and together with the Department of Defense and the Joint Chiefs of Staff, that they will endeavor to eliminate the concerns of Japan. Secretary Austin responded that he has been briefed by Secretary Blinken on the talks yesterday with myself, that the talks are ongoing with the military leadership with emphasis on the safety of local residents and U.S. service personnel, and that all efforts will be made as there is nothing more important than the safety of the local resident and the U.S. forces. As a result of this 2+2, we have issued an ambitious joint statement which indicates the direction of our future Japan-U.S. alliance endeavors, taking the opportunity of this 2+2, the Special Measures Agreement on Host Nation Support and the Framework Exchange of Note on Joint R&D have just been signed. Both will serve as critical foundation for further reinforcement of the Japan-U.S. alliance. Based on this 2+2, based on the discussion of 2+2, together with Minister Kishi, Secretaries Blinken and Austin, I will endeavor to evolve our alliance further. Thank you.
Those of you who have questions, please raise your hand. When appointed, proceed to the microphone, identify yourself and your affiliation, and proceed to your question. Abe of Yomiuri Newspaper. The joint statement of 2+2 was just made public, and all choices that is necessary for the protection of the nation will be maintained. That was the wording included. On enemy base strike capability, it was reported that Minister Kishida made some comments. Minister Hayashi, what is your view on the revision of the 3 documents? Thank you very much. On hypersonic nuclear weapons as well as missiles that go on irregular orbits, the missile technology is evolving at extremely high speed. In order to protect the livelihood and lives of the citizens, what is necessary, we will keep all of the options necessary to protect the lives and livelihoods of the national citizens, and we explained that to the United States. We confirmed that Japan and the United States will, through this process, continue to communicate in close coordination. On the 3 strategic documents, drastic strengthening of the alliance deterrence and response capability was discussed, and we discussed the strategic documents. Through the revision of the major documents regarding the security strategy of both nations, we agreed that we will ensure the consistency of the priorities and visions. Thank you.
Related question. The so-called acquisition of enemy base attack capability. There was the spear and the shield relation of US and Japan. Would it be a revision of that structure? What is your view? Indeed, in the joint statement, in order to work against the threat of missiles, we talk about reinforcement of the capability. In order to work against a missile, it is about the comprehensive capability. Regarding the so-called enemy base attack capability, it is not only that, it would be a comprehensive strength to raise the defense capability. In the joint statement, indeed, the terminology of enemy base attack has not been included. But as for the specifics and the details, because of our relationship with the U.S., I will refrain from my response. Further question.
Miki-san, please. Miki of Nikkei. Joint statement on 2+2. In the statement, it is mentioned that Japan, going forward, will drastically strengthen its defense capabilities. In this 2+2, including the revision of documents, did you explain, or did the Japanese side explain to the U.S. side the increase of defense budget and also on Taiwan Strait? At the 2+2 in March last year, that was referred to. This time around on Taiwan Straits, regarding threat of China on the status quo, have there been any specific comments made by either side? Thank you. On China and Taiwan Straits, regarding the discussion on the regional strategic environment, we did spend time discussing China. Between Japan and the United States, should there be any Chinese initiative that undermine the rules-based order in the region, that would impose political, economic, security, and defense-related challenges in the region, and we share that concern. And if there are any behaviors in East China Sea that undermine the peace and stability of the region, we confirmed that that would be a concern. Application of Article 5 of the Security Pact being applied to the Senkaku Islands, and we also confirmed that Japan and the United States will continue to object to unilateral action that would undermine the Japanese administration over the Senkaku Islands. Now, in our discussion over regional security issue, we did touch upon Taiwan, and we reaffirmed the importance of peace and stability in the Taiwan Straits, and to urge for peaceful resolution of the cross-straits issues. Further, on your first question, defense and response capabilities of the Japan-U.S. alliance and drastic strengthening of those capabilities, we confirmed that specific discussions will take place. That was confirmed. On the Japanese side, we will be revising the national security strategy in order to drastically strengthen our own defense capabilities, and that was explained. Next question, please.
Yes, please. Kaike Mainichi Shimbun newspaper. About the joint R&D in the area of defense and about the agreement signed. In the joint statement, it talks about the hypersonic technologies, and in order to respond, it talks about future cooperation. So hypersonic missile interception, is that the purpose? Or is that to own such a missile? And it talks about comprehensive. But once again, can you tell us about the objective? In addition to that, space and in other domain, in what area will the R&D take place? Thank you. Traditionally, the government of Japan has tried to reinforce our defense capability. We have the MDA agreement between U.S. and Japan, the mutual defense agreement. Under that, we have had a joint R&D, including production. And regarding the exchange of note signed today, under MDA, we have established a framework that provides for joint research, development, and production, others between our two countries. By having this framework, we can make the process on joint research, development, and production more efficient. As a result of the bilateral consultation I just mentioned today, Charles de ad interim Green and I have signed the exchange of note today. From our daily basis between the two countries in security and defense cooperation on extensive matters, we have been exchanging opinions very closely. And regarding the future implementation of projects, including joint researches, we are communicating in our daily exchanges. But as for the specifics, because this is diplomatic and defense cooperation discussion between the countries, I will refrain.
Next question. Bun of Hokkaido newspaper. This was not mentioned in the joint statement, but did you touch upon Ukraine? And what comments did you make regarding Ukraine? In the context of the regional situation, we did touch upon Russia and Ukraine. And the United States side explained to us the most recent updated situation, and Japan and the United States confirmed our strong support to the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine, and we've concurred that we will continue our coordination. Japan is watching with great concern the increase of Russian troops surrounding the border of Ukraine. We will continue to attach importance with coordination with the G7 and respond appropriately.
Sugimoto Sankei Shimbun newspaper. The agreements that you have signed about the host nation support, the special measures agreement, the agreement is for the next 5 years. It is going to be an increase compared to the current agreement in place. Throughout this period, the government of Japan, the implementation of the security legislation have been implemented and the role have been expanded. Japanese capability have been expanded. Despite that, the Japanese expenditure has increased. How can you explain the reason for the increase? Indeed, regarding the coordination and negotiation for this agreement, as the security environment around Japan is becoming even difficult, and in order to maximize the efficient use of limited Japanese budget, the emphasis was to increase the deterrence and response capability of the alliance. So the utility expenses, where we cannot see direct contribution to the reinforcement of deterrence and response capability, it was significantly reduced. On the other hand, if there is contribution to raising rapid response and interoperability of the SDF, not only of USFJ, we emphasize that area, and we have included a new item of training equipment acquisition expense. At the same time, we have decided to emphasize the facilities that would raise the resilience of areas of facilities and rapid response of USFJ. This was the agreement, including these as the pillars. Going forward, we will make sure that we can convince the Japanese population. We will look at the difficult public finance of Japan and looking at the security environment, giving comprehensive viewpoint to all elements. We will continue serious consultation with the U.S. and we will constantly think about appropriate expenditure by Japan.
Mr. Boone? Boone of Hokkaido newspaper. Related to the 2+2, at the outset, did Secretary Blinken mention that new tool should be developed under the Japan-U.S. alliance context? And he mentioned that that would be the focus of today's discussion. Is that new tool factored into the joint statement? And if so, which part? As I said, there had been 3 major outcomes as a result of the 2+2, as I mentioned at the outset. Last year, the previous 2+2 was held. An agreement was reached on that occasion. And based upon that agreement, the working level have been working together, and those points were reconfirmed at the ministerial level through the 2+2. So that package as a whole was mentioned by Secretary Blinken in his comment.
Yes, Nogita-san, please. Nogita, Asahi Shimbun. In the joint statement, a joint plan for emergencies, that it is welcome that there has been an advancement. The specific emergencies, what are envisioned? Is it Taiwan crisis or others? As was discussed earlier, there were 3 achievements. And regarding the question, This is very specific, and because of our relationship with a counterpart, I will refrain from responding.
Next question, please. Tanaka of GG Press. USFJ on COVID-19 infection. You talked about that yesterday, and you also mentioned today more stringent measures, including curfew. In today's meeting, did the U.S. side make specific proposals or responses to your request? And what is the update on COVID-19 infection in USFJ as of today? First of all, the latest update. According to the USFJ command, as of morning yesterday, in all facilities and areas of USFJ, the number of positive cases was 1,784. And based upon such circumstances, since last month, we have been contacting the United States at various levels, including myself. And in addition to yesterday's foreign ministers' telephone meeting, based upon the orders given by the Prime Minister, today at the 2+2, Minister Kishi and myself told the Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense that more measures need to be taken, including the introduction of curfew to alleviate the agitation of the local residents and to strengthen the measures to prevent spread of infection. And I mentioned that in my opening remarks. We will continue our maximum efforts in order to ease the concern of the local residents, and when new information is obtained, we will share that with the relevant parties. Next question, please.
Aoki NHK related question. Regarding the spread of infection in the U.S. bases, what is the fundamental reason according to your observation, and how will it be improved? And about the status of forces, what are the challenges regarding the application of the SOFA agreement? First of all, regarding the spread of COVID-19 in the U.S. Forces facilities, since last month, as was just mentioned, at all levels, including myself, we have been making requests to the U.S. side, and therefore at the time of departure and entry, the tests and all the border control reinforcement and the use of masks or restrictions on activities, I understand these are being introduced in graduate manners, but it is true that infection is spreading in areas and facilities of USFJ and the surrounding local areas. We have a serious concern. In addition to my telephone talks with Secretary Blinken, and on the occasion of 2+2, Minister Kishi and I have made a request to the Secretaries of State and the Defense asking for even further stringent measures. We will make our utmost effort in order to alleviate the concerns of the local community. Further, between U.S. and Japan, under the SOFA Status of Forces Agreement, under the agreement of the U.S.-Japan Joint Committee, when the U.S. military personnel and others enter Japan through civilian airport, the Japanese government will conduct the quarantine. When U.S. military personnel are directly entering Japan to American U.S. forces facilities and areas, the U.S. side will conduct the test. Regarding the COVID-19 inspection, based on the SOFA and relevant agreement, including talks with the health authorities and with the cooperation of the U.S. side, we have been taking responses.
Mr. Sushiro, Happy New Year. Thank you very much for this opportunity. There's a point of concern. Indonesia banned coal exports on the 1st of this month, and on the 4th, Ambassador Kanasugi sent a letter to the Energy Minister of Indonesia and requested the lifting of the ban of coal export. Was that letter sent based upon the guidance from the national government, or was it the ambassador's own personal letter, or based upon his personal will? I am not aware of the details of the issue that you have raised, so our staff will give you a detailed explanation later on. Next question, please.
Yokoyama, Niigata, Nippo, about the gold mine in Sato. Just the other day, it has been decided to be the candidate for the heritage. In the Sato mine, there was a fact that workers from the Korean Peninsula were used to work. There was a protest from the Korean government and the Sato gold mine during the war about the civilian workers, about the facts. What is the recognition of the government of Japan? Regarding the question, the Cultural Affairs Council is engaged in discussions and consultation according to my assumption. As the government as a whole, what will be conducted going forward, it is under review according to my understanding.
Are there other questions? Good morning. IWJ Hamamoto. Okinawa Prefecture and near the bases of the U.S. forces, Omicron infection is spreading, threatening the lives of the local citizens. As you have reported, on the 6th, you requested the stringent measures to be imposed, including curfew, to Secretary Blinken, and Secretary Blinken mentioned that the health and stability of the local community is most important, and that he will cooperate with the Japanese side. But that has not led to any specific introduction of curfew or expansion of tests to be conducted by the Japanese side. And also, curfew of the U.S. forces and Japan personnel is important, but that's not the essence of the issue. The issue is quarantine inspection, and that ought to be the rights under the sovereignty of a nation, but that is being conducted under a foreign government, and the sovereignty of Japan is restricted in that way. In the telephone conference on the 6th and in the 2+2 that was conducted this morning, so far, 1996 U.S.-Japan Joint Committee discussed the exemption of the quarantine inspection. Was that request made from the Japanese side to revise that condition? What do you think about part of the sovereignty of Japan being taken away by a foreign government? Are you going to renegotiate? On the U.S. forces in Japan, COVID-19 infection, as I said, based upon SOFA and various other relevant agreements, with the cooperation of the United States and with the involvement of the local health community, we have been responding. We have no idea whatsoever to revise the SOFA. At yesterday's Foreign Ministers telephone conference and at today's 2+2, I explained to the U.S. side that we should further strengthen the coordination between our two countries and conduct maximum efforts in order to ease the tension in the local community. The next one will be the final question.
The person at the back of the seat, please. Nishi, Minami Nihon Shimbun, about 2+2. The Magejima Island in Kagoshima are the bus facilities. In terms of Japanese budget, the U.S. government has welcomed the budgeting for Magejima, Kagoshima facility. Back in 2011, it was discussed and it has become specific. What is your recognition, observation, and what do you think about the welcome on the U.S. side? Regarding the specifics going forward, we are considering having a reporter's brief, and therefore the specifics about what you're asking, please ask your question on that occasion. Thank you very much. We shall have to conclude the meeting. Thank you very much.